What's up, everybody? I'm Will. A lot of you guys might know me as Dr. Profit. This is JJ. A lot of you guys might know him as J Sleeper Stats. Today is our first YouTube video, and we're going over Thursday Night Football player props that we think you guys should take because we're taking them, and we're going to tell you why.
To start it off, we're going to go with Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns. This has been an electric game the last couple of years, and I feel like it'll continue to be so, especially with a 54.5 point total, which is the highest this week. And KC has the second highest implied point total at 29.5, which is very high. And the thing that, even though it is plus 20 odds at the moment, currently, at the time of recording, in the month of September, he has been the most efficient quarterback by far over the last 4 years. And to account for that, in the month of September, he's hit this line in 12 out of 14 games in the month of September. J.C. Jackson may also be out this game, which also helps his case because J.C. Jackson is one of the best corners in the league. That's going to free up some space for one of the receivers to go ahead and get a quick score in. My next pick is going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which is currently on Parlay Play at 11.5 rush attempts. I haven't seen it anywhere else. As of right now, that's where you can find him at. Last game, he had 7 carries in the first half. And I know we've all seen Pachenko get 12 carries overall in the game, but those all came late in the game in the fourth quarter because Pachenko had only 1 carry in the first half, and he played most of the second half. Going into the fourth quarter, Clyde Edwards-Helaire handled 48% of the running back snaps and 64% of the rushing attempts, and at that pace, he should go over. And that was a blowout game as well. And going into the second half, it was probably about a 3-score game. So if it's a little bit closer game, he's going to have more rushing attempts. My third option is going to be DeAndre Carter under 9.5 fantasy, which you can find on Prize Picks. Now, for this reason, he was filling in for Keenan Allen straight up after he got injured. He played mostly in the slot just like Keenan, and he had a touchdown last game. But that is the only reason he's going to be able to go over his 9.5 fantasy score is by a touchdown. And the reason for that is L'Jarius Sneed played very well last week. And on PFF, he was ranked as the 3rd best corner, and he played in the snap 26 out of 35 coverage snaps, which is where Carter will play. And Carter had a 12% target share and about a 37% route participation, which is very low. You want your receivers to be in the 60, 65 plus area. He has to compete snaps with Palmer, who is also playing in the slot. They each had 10 snaps each. And to look at that as well, Palmer also played all of the 2 tight end sets after Keenan got hurt. And he didn't have any in it before Keenan got hurt. So that's going to be, I think he's going to smash that under very well. The defensive cornerbacks are much better for KC compared to the Raiders. And I think when you look at the Raiders, they're also missing some pieces. This is going to be a primetime game. The stars are going to get the ball. And now I'll hand it over to Will.
So basically, my 2 plays are going to come off of, or my first play mainly is going to come off of the last thing that JJ said. In a primetime game coming off a short week that starts the season pretty much, like the first short week of the season, the veterans and the big players are going to be focused on way more than usual. So my first play is going to be Travis Kelce over 18 fantasy points, and that's over on Prize Picks. Part of it is a correlation play with JJ's pick of Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns, because in the 9 games that Mahomes got over 2.5 touchdowns last season, Kelce went over in 7 of them. Last year, the Chargers gave up the most fantasy points to tight ends on the season, and we just saw Waller put 79 on him last week. And the only reason he didn't finish over fantasy points was because of some guy named Devontae Adams. I don't know if he's good or not, but he was the reason that Waller didn't get more targets. So take that as you will. They brought on Van Noy this year, which is who PFF has him projected to go against, and he's bottom 12 in coverage as linebackers. And the other linebacker that he might go up against is Tranquil, who grades pretty well as a linebacker, but last season he went up against him and put 41 on him, so I'm not really worried about him either. So I think as long as Mahomes does well, especially in the red zone, he goes over. He has the matchup. He has the efficiency. It's the perfect scenario for him being a primetime game in which Tyreek Hill's gone. Sky Moore's a rookie who only got 7 routes run and 1 target last game. Juju's dealing with a shoulder injury, and I'm not worried about Marquez Valdez-Scantling and McCole Hardman taking touches away from Travis Kelce. He's going to get his 18 fantasy points, seems really doable. The next play I have is Justin Herbert over 11.5 rushing yards, which is over on Parlay Play. And this is actually 15.5 on books, so even just looking at the odds, it's already great value. He hit in 11 of the 17 games last season, and in the games where he had 4 or more rushing attempts, he hit in 9 of those 11 games. And this is going to consist of the 4th and 5th fastest paced teams in the league according to last season. So there's going to be plenty of plays and plenty of opportunities for him to break out of the pocket and go on a run. All he really needs is 2 or 3 attempts. And Kansas City allowed the 6th most QB rushing yards and the 6th most QB rushing attempts last season. And then the other thing is in close games, so games finishing within a touchdown, he's averaging almost 21 rushing yards. So I think this game splits are there that you want to see, the scenarios there that you want to see, and something that I love to target with QB rushing yards is finding athletic quarterbacks going against teams that get good pressure to quarterbacks, because what happens a lot is they get good pressure, but there's some gap for the quarterback to sneak out of, and once they do, there's likely 10 yards of space in front of him to run into. That really only needs to happen 1 or 2 times, and he crosses this line with ease. In both the games last year, he got 16 rushing yards. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets more today. So those are really the only 2 plays that I have. And one thing I wanted to add on to what JJ said was for his Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns, if you're on books, take the plus money. Everything that JJ said, I completely support, and I'm also expecting him to get 3. So take it as a straight bet at plus money. If you're not on books, what you might be able to do if you're afraid of the odds is you can just wait for him to get bumped down to 2.0, because that's a pretty likely scenario as well. So do what you will with that information, but you know that we love all these plays, or else we wouldn't be giving them to you. So now that we gave you our plays, me and JJ decided to put some fun together and give you guys a nice game stack. So on Prize Picks, for a lot of you guys that do play on there, you know a 5-pick flex, if you hit all 5, you get 10 times payout. Whatever you put in, you get 10 times back. There's certain correlational plays you can put in where that can bump the payout to 15 times. And that's what we tried to do for you guys right now. And honestly, we really like the game stack that we put together. So the first play is your one and only Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns, as JJ pointed out. The second play is the DeAndre Carter under that JJ also pointed out. The third play is one that we were talking about. We didn't make it an official play, but the line itself seems way too high, and we don't see this player covering this line without a touchdown, and that's McCole Hardman under 10 fantasy score. That's just unreasonably high. He has to get, without a touchdown, he has to get 5 catches for 50 yards or more in one of those categories, which is asking a lot for him.
Another thing to look at is he's not getting enough snaps to really get consistent targets, because he's only playing in 55% of his snaps, and on top of that, he's only running 61% route participation, which is not good for the amount of snaps he's playing. So he's heavily reliant on getting a touchdown.
Exactly, and his line's at 3.5 for receptions. I'm pretty sure it's at even odds. I think he's somewhere around 30 yards, somewhere between 30 and 35. And then I can't even imagine what his odds for a touchdown are. It's probably pretty low. So you guys can double check on that. But I don't think he's getting a touchdown. and he's not. I find it very unlikely that he crosses this line without a touchdown, and I know JJ shares the same. And then lastly, to complete the game stack and make this 15 times, is Herbert over 38 passing attempts. And I played this last week with the Raiders game, and because they got out to an early lead, it didn't exactly work out. This game script is honestly a little bit better because he crossed this line in 38 or more in 11 of 17 games last season, and the ones he didn't were either blowouts or super low-paced games. I don't think anybody's expecting a blowout from this game. It's a division dogfight for two people that a lot of people are considering contenders, and it's a primetime game. So that it should be a close game, and it has two of the highest paced teams in the league last season at 4th and 5th highest pace. The only reason it's not an official play for me, even though I really like it, is with Keenan Allen being out, I don't know if the coaching scheme changes at all. That's really the only thing I could see causing this to go under, barring a blowout. But if this game stays close, he should fly over this. So, and what makes it nice is if the other three of these hit, especially the Mahomes passing touchdowns, I find it hard to believe that the passing attempts don't go over as well for Herbert. So it's correlation that should be negative considering that we have two receivers going under, but in the grand scheme of how we're picturing the whole game out to be, everything correlates pretty well. Got anything to add to that, JJ?
Nope. I think that's it.
Perfect. Appreciate you guys listening. We're just getting this going, so if you enjoyed the video, if you got anything out of it, please like and subscribe. We mentioned some of the apps that we're betting on and where these lines are from. You can find the links to join those apps in the comments if you haven't already. Otherwise, good luck, and let's have the great start to week 2 of the 2022 NFL season.